Hey everyone, thanks for checking in back over here at the channel. Now today I've got something a little bit different for you guys. Now as you can tell, I'm not out at the gun range, I'm not out shooting. I'm out in the woods, out in the field, no hunting going on. I'm not even holding any wrenches, monkeying around with this Remington 700 here, or reviewing a scope. Something a bit different here. Now, while I was down here today, in fact I was going to be doing some fiddling with this Remington 700, I'm often watching content down here. Now, whether it's something that's not even related to this industry, or if it's other YouTubers, gun tubers making similar content to what I'm doing, I'm often watching that stuff, getting ideas, kind of agreeing with them, seeing what they're thinking, if they're reviewing an optic or something. And in doing that, it got me thinking a bit about what are my thoughts, not really reviews, but what's my take on some of the more common, the more popular gun tubers, or as I like to call them, scope tubers that are out there doing the same stuff, reviewing a lot of these optics and doing some shooting. So that's what I'm going to talk a bit about today, is a few of the gun tubers, scope tubers that I tend to watch, that I tend to kind of trust their opinions and value the content that they're putting out there. First one that I get a kick out of watching is Cyclops Joe. Now I'm talking about the guy with the eye patch, the one-eyed guy doing scope content. Now, Joe is a guy that if you are wanting to watch some reviews and similar stuff to what I do with a comical twist from a guy with just a little bit of a filter on his mouth, Joe is worth watching. Joe will have you cracking up with how honest he is. Joe does a lot of reviews that are on the very budget-minded stuff, and he doesn't take it over the top to the stuff that's really out of reach out of most consumers or people who are practical with their money. But Joe will give you an honest review. He does some content where he's out there shooting. He's pretty active in that 22 community. But Joe's stuff is pretty good as far as entertainment purposes go, along with the honest review and the factual basis. Joe lets you know, hey, they gave me this scope and this thing's a piece of squirrely shit, or this thing is getting its nipple twister going on. His stuff is worth watching. I enjoy watching it. It's entertaining and informative. So that's the first guy I talk about a bit, is Cyclops Joe. Like his stuff. And kind of on the opposite end of things would be going to that more scientific, analytical approach of a gun tuber who does things really with the scientific method like an engineer. And I'm talking about Rex. When you go to those Rex reviews, or Rex, he's not all reviews anymore, but when you're watching Rex's stuff, you get that serious guy that has some comedy in there, but it's kind of like watching The Simpsons. It's like that political nudge of comedy that's in there that's not, it's different than Joe's comedy. Rex will sneak it in there. He'll slip in a little rhetorical comedy in there for you, and I like watching that. Now, the thing that Rex brings us is a very impartial approach to reviewing two brands. Now, he takes these things and he eliminates as many of the, what should we say, variables that don't matter to what he's reviewing, and does that scientific approach. If he's going to be testing, I've got this Gunner Odin right here. He's going to take this thing and he's going to let you know what the method is, what the procedures are, and what the outcomes are with a subjective, kind of a, you could say he's going to give you that subjective view of what he thinks, but he's also gives you that very objective. The facts are A, B, C, and D of this, or of the firearm. Both of these guys, if I backtrack a minute here, are also doing quite a bit of content with these Arkin optics, and I'll get back to that here in a little minute here. So the Rex reviews, Rex channel, if you're looking for firearm industry, you're looking for scope reviews, and if you're also looking for training type videos, a little bit of political stuff, a little bit of shit hit the fan type preparation things, Rex has some really good content and a real straightforward approach, and I think content that you can trust the information, and what he tells you is really not going to be skewed one way or the other. It's pretty accurate. Those are a couple guys I enjoy watching. Another one that I often have on down here that I'll kind of give a I don't know, I said I wasn't reviewing these, but I guess it is my review, is I enjoy watching the Texas Plinking channel. Those are guys that I envy the environment that they're in as far as the ability to shoot long range, the openness. We got some guys out west, whereas I'm in the Mideast, I'm in Michigan. I run simply into too many trees. I just don't have the open areas other than some farm areas to do that kind of shooting. But the guys at the Texas Plinking channel, I think are kind of a blend between maybe a little bit of what I do, some of what Rex does, and even some of what Cyclops Joe is doing over there at his channel. Not a lot of humor, but a little bit in there. But some honest reviews of content like this affordable stuff and comparisons all the way up high to some of the more pricey stuff that's out there, and showing proven results, shooting out there really far with the $300 optic and showing that you can do it. It can be done. It can consistently be done as well. And it's a very well done. All these guys use really good camera work, lots of good different, you could say approaches or different camera angles and things set up to make watching the content entertaining. But yet we all have to kind of play by the same game, which is some of YouTube's rules and things. We can't show anything. I couldn't take, well, I wouldn't use this, but let me get this. I couldn't take this armorer's wrench and start doing any twisting on an AR. YouTube would flag it. We get that slap on the hand. Joe, you just got one of those to get the demonetization, and they penalize us. So our channels can't produce any revenue or get the commercials and things going if we do the no-nos, which is wrenching on the firearms. One of the other things that we can't show you guys a lot of, that any of us can do, that I enjoy, has a lot to do with ammunition. Now we can show you that, hey, we're using this ammunition, what brand we're doing, but what we can't do is I can't get real involved when I'm taking some of this stuff and showing you how I'm using scales and tools and things like that to actually the reloading process. We can't show a whole lot of that. So our hands are kind of tied with some of those things. But the industry and the growth of the firearm scope business it's just exploded in the last 20 years or more, so even the last 10, that there are more and more companies popping up. Some of them are Far East garbage, I'll just go out there and say that. Some of them are Far East stuff that's pretty good and it really does well. But the common trend with it is this stuff really is getting more affordable as there is a growth of good competitive competition, a growth of computers and better CNC machines and just more people involved in this industry. We're getting more brands like these gunner optics, which I'm finding they're kind of closely following this Arkin trail, but there's more and more of these brands popping up that are making good products like this. Now, most of the time it's going to start out with us buying, people think you get that shit for free, that's why you're giving them a review. Now we'll tell you when we get the stuff for free, it's kind of a disclosure thing that we make at the front of the videos, and oftentimes we're told to do so. These gunner optics, I've got a couple of these Odins, I didn't pay a penny for them. People get bent out of shape when we take these and I do those torture tests. I took an Arkin optic and cut it in half, and people gave me hell for that and said, you could have gave that to a kid, you could have gave that to somebody. Well, there's a lot of reasons we don't do that and stuff, but there's also some agreements when we're going to get something like this and destroy it. Oftentimes, if this company gives it to me and says destroy it, I'm not out anything. Hey, I buy this stuff too, and I don't want to really destroy the stuff that I'm spending hard-earned money on. So we do talk about getting products to review. I've got, this isn't a scope, but this bottle from Iron Infidel. I like this thing. This is an insulated hard bottle. I didn't have to pay for this thing, so I'm not going to have a problem driving over it with my truck at some point, all right? But getting back on focus here. These are just a couple of the gun tubers, the scope tubers. There's tons of us out there now doing this stuff that I enjoy watching. There's some that are taking off and growing, and there's some that are just disappearing all the time. I like to think that my approach is a little bit of a blend of everybody's. I get lazy with the camera work sometimes. I get lazy with setting up things in a very strict Rex type way. And I don't get as loose on my tongue as Cyclops Joe does, but I kind of sit in the middle sometimes there. I'll get a little comical. And depending on what I'm doing with these products, I like to think that maybe I fill the gap between the content that some of the other people are making, like that Rex is doing. Maybe I will help confirm some of the results that Rex finds, or confirm that when Joe took the scope out and did 2 hours of nipple twisting, that I did the same, and yeah, this thing tracked, or throwing it off, it did not track anymore. So it's just something a little bit different for you guys. I am going to get back to reviewing these things. I also first got to finish mounting up some stuff on old trusty 300 Win Mag here. But thanks for checking in. This is something a little bit different. Chime in with some questions, with some topics, some things that you guys are thinking about, or some other gun tubers, scope tubers that you think are worth checking out. I appreciate that in the comment section. Hit that like and subscribe. It helps these channels grow. It helps YouTube and those algorithms push this stuff out there. So I'm going to cut it short right here. Thanks for checking into the channel, and get on out. Keep on shooting.